We all live by sets of rules that we have determined for ourselves to be good, and things that we just do automatically, or things that we try to improve on, and rules that we make so that we can live the life that we want to live. Core values are essential to living a life that's meaningful, and whether we realize it or not, we all have them. The reason I want to share them with you is because what I believe is very much knit into the DNA of what Nyched is. And my core values, my personal core values that I've come up with over my life, are things that Nyched believes. So for you to understand Nyched and understand why I created this platform and this amazing piece of technology, it's really important to understand what I believe and who you're dealing with and who you're interacting with. My first core value is to chase value. How often have we been running through life and we are trying to pursue happiness every day? Well, I find that happiness is fleeting. But if we're trying to pursue value, there's meaning in that. I also try to add value everywhere I go, whether it be an interaction where I can give a smile to someone who seems like they're having a bad day, or it's something where I can deeply invest in a friend where they're having a problem. Something that goes along with this that comes from me growing up playing video games is leveling up. We're all used to increasing stats in video games that we play to become a better character. And in order to do all of this, in order to chase value and to level up and to add value everywhere we go and to be better and happy, we have to know our why. We have to know why we're doing things. Too often, I think I lose sight of that. Why am I doing this? Why am I out here doing these things right now? And that these are fundamental to who I am. You know, I believe that we can be better and happy, not just happy. But for me, I have to be better. I have to try and improve every single day. The scenario that really sent this home for me that comes to mind is my wife was in a job that she liked, but she didn't love. And she always felt like she wanted to be a nurse. She felt called to being a nurse. And I was just a web developer. I wasn't making very much money a year. I was making kind of a median income. And I had to change my why, but I had to realize what it was in order to do that. So that's when I shifted my career from web development into a sales role, which brought more income, but that provided the way for my wife to go to school without us incurring any extra debt, and for us to be comfortable during that time when we were living off of just one income. My next core belief is to speak up. I believe that everyone adds value, but only when they speak up. Everyone has different bits of information, and everyone, even personally, we have bits of information that we keep compartmentalized from ourselves. So oftentimes we don't realize it until we hear it out loud. I'm a very verbal processor. So a lot of times I will talk through my thoughts and my ideas before I see the whole picture of something. And this is important whether it's a personal thing or a business related thing. But speaking up is extremely important because individuals hold information. Every bit of information matters. I believe that every detail matters. And if we're not being honest with ourselves, we're not speaking up or honest with who we're working with or our spouses or our families, we won't get a full picture and we won't be able to make the best decision for those communities. If we're not honest with ourselves about where we can improve, we're not going to improve at a pace that we might be satisfied with. In order for speaking up to really matter, we have to take ownership. I believe in taking extreme ownership over situations. So being honest about these things and being truthful and being able to take responsibility for the part that we had. Everybody has a part in the outcome. And a situation where I had to take ownership was when I was a sales manager. I had a really bad month and my team was failing. And I could have came into the sales meeting and pointed my finger at everyone and said, "You guys are screwing up." Came in and asked, "Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it that we're failing?" And one guy raised his hand. I said, "No, it's not your fault." A couple other people did as well. And then one guy said, "Well, it's your fault, Ryan." I was a little surprised because it takes a little gusto to be able to tell your manager that. And I looked him right in the eye and I said, "You're absolutely right, Cliff." And we moved forward from there, and we had like a week left and we killed it that week. All because of taking ownership and telling the truth. I want to know all the information so that I can make the best decision for Nyched based on what your feedback is. My third personal core value is to tell the truth. I try to never lie. Now, I'm not perfect at that. Of course, I lie. We all do. We're human. But I tell the truth probably too much. Most of my friends can attest to this. There's been times where I've made it uncomfortable by telling what I believe to be true, but that's part of who I am. So if you ask me a question, I answer it honestly and truthfully. The other part of that, though, for me is I don't wait to be asked. I will tell you the truth whether you ask me or not. And for a lot of people, that can be really annoying. It takes a special type of person to want to spend time with me. Along with all that, if you're going to be a truth teller, you have to be gracious. You can't be this just abrasive person all the time. And this might be the part of my core values that I fail at the most, because I am pretty emphatic about things at times when I believe something. I tell it all the time, I speak up, and I don't relent. So being gracious is something that I'm constantly working on, but it's something I believe in. I don't believe that we should be getting in arguments about what we believe to be true. Now, I do believe in universal truths, absolute truths. So those are things I think we can fight for. But for the things that are not absolute, that there's more gray area and nuance, I think we should talk to people and try and understand where they come from. Here's an example. When I was in my sales career, I was talking to my mentor about some personal things about when I was younger. When I was younger, I tried to take my life twice on 2 different occasions. But in the course of the conversation, I used to tell that story as taking my life 3 times, or trying to take my life 3 times. I don't know how that came into the conversation. I don't know why it did, but I never took the time to root it out of that story. And I realized I left that conversation, it might have been an hour or 2 later, and I called up my mentor and I said, hey, I just wanted to bring this up. I lied to you, man. It wasn't 3 times, it was 2 times. And he said, well, that's not really a big detail. I said, I know, but it's really important to me that you know me as a truthful person, because that's who I am. So even when I make a mistake and I lie, I try to come back and say, hey, would you forgive me? Because that wasn't 100% the truth. So in the small stuff, I tell the truth. And I think that shows people that in the big stuff, I tell the truth as well. I think we all can relate with this. I think we all can think of a time when we told a lie and it maybe spiraled or it didn't get very far. But when we told the truth, it made things so much better. If you can relate to that, drop a comment or tell the story in the comments below. I'd love to hear it and interact with you on it. Nyched is the world's first human interaction platform, and it did something revolutionary. It's changing the way that we interact online. What I did when I developed Nyched is I took a look at what everyone disliked about social media and how things happen online, and I removed the things that we all hated. I removed things like gatekeepers and algorithms from the app, and instead I replaced it with you and put an emphasis on the individual. You know, one of the big issues with platforms online is they use us as their products. They sell our data and our information. So instead, I wanted to provide a way to make you the customer. The best way to support the project is to go to resistthealgorithm.com, and you can learn more about the beta and how you can support Nyched. If you can't financially support Nyched at this time, I totally understand that, and I would never ask you to. By watching these videos and liking and commenting and continuing the conversation, that adds to the community of Nyched, and that's a great deal of support as well. So thank you for being here. I ask that you follow us and continue along on the journey. 4th is evolve intentionally. It takes a lot of information and data to make good decisions for yourself. Once you're able to have that information, you're able to evolve intentionally. I believe that my best today is only the beginning. Tomorrow I'll be better, and a year from now I'll be even better than that. And my goal is to continually try to evolve. In order to do this, I need to change my why. I've had 4 or 5 different careers throughout my life since I started working when I was 13 or 14. And each time I had to change why I was doing things. Or probably more accurately, my why changed and then the career change happened a lot of the time. Finding opportunities as well and evolving intentionally to create something new, to create a new process. I think those little micro improvements are what leads to lifelong growth and learning. So I don't believe in a box. A box keeps things in. I don't believe that we're constrained by much in this world. I instead believe that we should invent the wheel. Nyched is the culmination of my life of experiences leading me to this point to develop something new, to help me have a platform. You know, I created Nyched out of a selfish place. I didn't like social media. It was a place that was hostile and frustrating to be on. And it seemed like instead of having conversations about things that I loved or conversations that were civil to learn more about things, I got chastised when I asked a question about something that I either didn't know a lot about or I didn't agree with. And people didn't want to have a conversation. And, you know, ideologically, I get why things like that happen. But what do I care if you're a snowboarder or a skier? I'm personally a skier. I like it better, but you like snowboarding better. Cool. Why can't we go out and enjoy the snow together? So Nyched is me inventing the wheel. The last one, fight to win. That's at the core of who I am. I believe in having good fights and good arguments, and I believe in winning. Now, what do I mean by winning? I don't mean me over you or you over me or someone walking away ticked off. I mean that we won. We had a conversation or an argument, and we came to a point where hopefully we understood the two sides of it, and we decided together to move forward. So listening and understanding is a key part of fighting to win, and settling things and moving on and moving forward with that plan is super important to me too. In order to do this, though, you need to come to the conversation with a mentality of understanding, and you need to leave your ego out of the conversation. The other part of this, too, that I believe in is I think we should disagree so that we can agree. Too often we're in situations and we say, well, that's just something we'll have to agree to disagree on. And I don't believe in that. A situation that happened to me a couple of weeks ago, I was talking with a friend. We were trying to understand something. I genuinely wanted to know his perspective because he had more information on the topic than I did. I outlined an opinion, he outlined his, and I said, well, no, it's really this way, isn't it? And he said, we'll just have to agree to disagree and we'll move on. And I refused to move on. I said, hey man, I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to understand what is right. And he was able to explain his point differently. And I said, you know what? I misunderstood the information that we had available to us at the time. And I get what you're saying. You're correct. Being able to fight and win, what that means for Nyched is I'm going to go out there and fight for what's right. I don't believe the internet is aligned correctly with how we want things in the world to operate. So I'm going to fight and keep fighting until we win, until Nyched as a community wins. And there's a place for everyone online to interact with their hobbies and their interests and have full control over their online experience. I believe in chasing value, speaking up, telling the truth, evolving intentionally, and fighting to win. And I'm going to apply all of those to how Nyched is developed. We all have things that we believe in and core values, whether we realize it or not. I would encourage you to either talk about it in the comments below or take some time to really think about who you want to be. What is your why? Figure that out, and the core values come along with it. And this is a fluid thing. I've changed certain things about what I believed over my life, and that means my core values have changed as well. But I think it's freeing to have these sets of ideas and rules kind of maybe not written down, but solidified in our minds. And it really helps us to live life. We all have core values, each and every one of us. We all experience life in a way and follow rules on how we interact with people and things out in the world. And maybe we haven't written them down or taken the time to, really think them through. But we all have things that we do that impact who we are. And we do it the same way, day in and day out. And a lot of times we aspire to be someone else. And we create a part of ourselves that are exemplified in our beliefs. That's what I'm aiming for at Nyched, a place for you to experience what you believe in and what you're interested in and what you do for fun online, but totally at the control of your fingertips. Nyched is the world's first human interaction platform, and it's totally within your control. To learn more, go to resistthealgorithm.com. If you like this video, give it a like. If you have something to say or you want to share about your core values, I'd love to hear about them. I love these types of topics, so leave a comment down below.